Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Jug Show. Sorry that I've been a bit late when it comes to my uploads. Things have just been getting a little bit busy at work. You gotta live that life, all that kind of stuff. So things might get a little bit late of the bit for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to try and get into the Stormbook. We're doing One World Under Doom number 6 today. We've also got the upcoming Fantastic Four comic. We've got a few other things we're going to be talking about, a couple of games coming out. I really want to talk about the upcoming Darksiders 4. You guys have no idea how excited I am for that game. Oh, man, just seeing that announcement made me scream. Love it. Oh, boy. So, anyway. So, yeah, One World Under Doom number 6. We are now definitely getting into the climax of this event. The fact is, this is just the prelude to the final battle of it all. Doom's now been exposed. What he's done, very horrendous. But that's not the main issue here as well. Because the fact is, Doom had a couple of good callouts of the heroes. That was the real interesting part. Because this is actually who Doom is as a character. He's right. Doom exists because of things that happened around him. Things that, like, full-on bigotry, people who think they're better than another, all these things created Doom. It's the full-on, you can't have one without the other. You can't have good without the bad. He's the consequences of various actions of the rich and the powerful. And the people that have caused utmost destruction. So that's where it actually really does get interesting. We're really seeing Doom as a person that's the consequences of the actions of a lot of horrible people. So he's really the essence of saying enough is enough. The problem is, he's taken things a bit too far. So let's get into it. I can't deny, I giggled at the start of this comic. It's so funny, the idea of Reed and Doom being on like a talk show together, like just taking each other on a conversation. But the idea of them having like a half-hour talk show every day, like back on classic free TV, would actually be incredibly entertaining. Especially with the idea, because of this page here, this was just missing some 90s sitcom music, like Friends or Dharma and Greg, just that kind of music, and you got yourself a sitcom. Because it's just this, like, that's exactly what they're doing here. This is just 90s sitcom everything. This is this aura of 90s sitcoms. It's so fucking funny. So what's happening is when we got Doom and Reed, they're now discussing everything. They're discussing the validity of Doom being the Emperor. I really feel like this particular moment really could have also used Valeria, maybe even just off to the side behind the curtains watching from behind the scenes. But I feel like she could have been involved, and that would have actually been very interesting, given the fact they had that conversation that they did for One World Under Doom issue 2. So this is now Reed taking him on it, like she did back in issue 2. And he's bringing up a lot of stuff. Like he's bringing up how with the Blood Hunt, the event that actually led Doom to becoming the Sorcerer Supreme. If you don't know what Blood Hunt was when all vampires became Daywalkers. And it was when Blade was possessed by Varney, the original vampire. What was very disturbing about this comic was the fact that it held very little back. It was full of blood and gore. That they released red band issues and censored issues. We had humans that were completely eaten by vampires. So that was a very intense comic, and it led to Victor being the Sorcerer Supreme, stealing the mantle from Doctor Strange. And Reed now reveals that with information from Maria Hill, that the whole thing Doom could have stopped beforehand, but he chose not to because it was part of his plan to 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 become the Sorcerer Supreme. And to argue the validity of his decision, he brings up World War II and William Churchill. It's rumored and believed, it's not actually proven, that William Churchill knew about the attack on Pearl Harbor when it was before it happened, and he could have prevented it, and chose not to in order to get the Americans into war in World War II and cause the downfall of Hitler and the Nazis. Now, Reed, of course, tries to explain the fact that there is no evidence for it. Doom, on the other hand, goes on the more emotional, that there could be some evidence has been destroyed, so we really don't know, but it is still possible. Despite the logic of Reed's argument that there is no evidence, Doom gets people on the side that by saying, but there could be evidence. This is actually a very interesting thing to look at when it comes to Reed, especially after Fantastic Four First Steps. Because if we were to compare what Reed's trying to do here to what Sue did in Fantastic Four First Steps when she made her speech in front of the Baxter Building by saying, how did it go? I will not sacrifice my son for this planet, but I also will not sacrifice this planet for my son. That speech, she was connecting with people who were afraid and desperate. And she connected with them on the emotional level. And as we're seeing here, Reed doesn't do so well on that. This is one of the reasons why their relationship is so interesting. They act as the other form of the opposite of the other person. While Reed is the mind, Sue is the heart. And together they form they become part of the actual body, and they actually balance each other out, and they help one another. And it's a very good and positive thing to see here, to see in other comics, but not here, because now he's on his own. And Reed, he struggles to connect emotionally to people, and because of that, he's struggling to win the crowd. And it's very, very good to see that type of understanding, that he knows logic, he struggles with emotion, but it is there, and he gets worried, he gets nervous. So this is definitely really good for Reed. It's good to see for Reed the real understanding of him. It's not that he doesn't feel these things; it's that he struggles to understand what they actually are. But unfortunately, you have writers who actually look at how Reed acts and thinks it's because he's emotionless. It's not that. That's not how Reed ever worked. Reed has always worked as a person that struggles to understand emotions. So it's really good to see that kind of understanding of the character. So bringing up World War II, he's bringing up all these things. The fact is, a lot of politicians use World War II. They use previous wars. It's something that, it's definitely like a massive propaganda piece. The fact is, we're America, we beat the Nazis, that type of stuff. But a lot of the times, that's always used to connect with people to probably get them to do something bad, or say that we're the heroes, but the fact is there's always more to the story, that kind of deal. So while this argument is going down, while Doom is actually winning the hearts of the people, over back in Latveria, we got our heroes back up. There we got Sue, we got Carol, we got Wanda, we got Vision, we got Tony. And they're about to have another crack at getting into Latveria. This time they actually have Maria Hill on their side, and the fact that she's now more of an intelligence agent, and now they have the intelligence to get into Latveria. What's good about this is also continuing on with what Ryan has actually set up in his Secret Invasion, as well as his Fantastic Four, about the resurgence of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it being more of a spy agency. It's more of an intelligence agency. It's not a global military. And I've already enjoyed that, and it's good to see that actually coming to the forefront a little bit. Hope we see how Maria got this intelligence, the resources she used, why she was all banged up in the last issue. Hoping to see a little bit more of that. So, using the intelligence, they find that their shield has the field around Latveria has a weak spot, and they manage to take advantage of that for this brief time and get Wanda, Natasha, and Sue into Latveria. And so we actually trying to uncover the mysteries of what Doom has actually been doing. Because the fact is, no one has been able to get into Latveria. This has been going on since last year, since about Fantastic Four issue 24. I think that's when they really actually started to push really prepare for One World Under Doom. So this page is where it really does get interesting. I've seen these arguments a lot of times for a lot of different characters, and it's something that does actually kind of make sense when you really think about the canon of the Marvel Universe. The fact is, things ought to be a little bit more different. I mean, we see the usual day-to-day, and they don't have all this fancy tech because Tony doesn't use it. They don't have... they still struggle because one hero refuses to use this resource. One hero refuses to use this resource. It's an argument that's happened again and again, but the fact is, it's also happened on villains, of course. Like there's this panel that's usually used as a joke, but it does prove the point. It's Spider-Man versus Sauron, and Sauron has such an understanding of the cellular body that he could actually cure cancer instead of turn people into dinosaurs. But Sauron's response is, but I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs. The heroes don't have the same type of thing, but they do still have a problem of probably not living up to their fullest potential to helping people. Because they could do this, they could like feed the hungry, they could power the cities. We talk about the Krakoan era, how they cured death. If I'm being honest, I still think there's a lot of ethical discussions we could still have on both the Resurrection Protocol and the Phoenix Foundation. I don't see that happening here. It's actually something I really enjoy talking about. It's something I've always a little bit complained about. I think it's really something that should actually be talked about in much deeper conversation, and I hope one day we do see that, because honestly, I think the Resurrections were a lot more flawed, as well as the Phoenix Foundation was a very, very flawed concept. And I think and it's still continuing. And when they're in the white hot room, I think it's still going to cause problems. And I really hope a writer really looks into that. And we talk about Storm terraforming into Mars into Araco, and keeping the world for herself. Less ethical problems on that one. All I just think is that they should have set up like some standard form of travel or bridge between Earth and Araco, seeing as how these are now kind of sister planets, that there should be some form of communication. Let's get some other heroes on it. I want to see their perspective. Let's keep going with Araco. Let's get some more Araco going. He also talks about Black Panther and the vibranium, saying that people aren't ready. And, well, the fact is, seeing as how what has been useful every time it's stolen, you can't blame him. These conversations always keep coming up in comics. It's always made the hero to feel bad, but the problem is the Doom isn't wrong in this situation. There are always going to be things to talk about. All these heroes could probably do better. And his biggest call out is Reed. How Reed, the Fantastic Four, are easily the smallest and most exclusive group of superheroes in Marvel Comics. The only one that you could probably say is even more exclusive are probably ones that are less used, including the Champions, the Defenders. What's the one that Firestar was a part of? The Justice, the New Warriors. That's it. The Fantastic Four are always down to 4 members, but even if you actually include people that have been on the team, it's still a bit bigger. But it is just relegated to the singular family of the Richards and Grimm Storm clan. And because of what Reed can accomplish, how intelligent he is, he doesn't publish papers, scientific research. He invents amazing things. He does do lectures. He does do some community involvement in the scientific community, but he doesn't push what he can actually do. We've even seen him actually try and keep unstable molecules out of the public's hands. And this is something I'm really hoping is going to stick with the superhero community, because this is all true facts. And if we're going to have lasting consequences from this event, even when Doom is deposed, if he's deposed, I think this would be a good one to talk about. Ways that supers can actually involve themselves a little bit more. They don't have to go full on perfecting the world, but just how can we get these characters a little bit more involved? What can we do on a grander scale with these characters? What can Reed do to probably improve people's lives? What can Tony do? What can all the Avengers do? What can the X-Men offer? I mean, we had the X-Men offering, but okay, no, we're not doing another Krakoa lecture. Okay, I just did it. Okay, I'm going to try not to do that anymore. Okay, we're going to move on from that, but that's the whole point. What more could heroes do to better the lives of the world that they live in? And I don't know where this is from. I know this must be a reference to something. The pointing, the turn, the face. I don't know if it's Uncle Sam. I don't know if he's referencing the Kitty Pryde thing of calling Xavier a jerk. I just feel like this pose is a reference to something. So, because of all this, because of the fact that the heroes don't do what's required or what they could by helping the world, Doom blames them for his creation. That's not entirely wrong. Because the fact is, people that can better the world but choose not to because their own sense of greed and desire for just the concept of more, the concept of hoarding all this. Now, the heroes don't actually fit into this particular kind of demographic, but there are people in the world today that do hoard their riches, that do hoard the resources, that hoard everything, and makes it so much harder for people in everyday lives that just want to just not worry, and it makes it harder for them. This is what Doom's saying. He was created by these circumstances, created by people that he sees as the heroes are. Like, he looks at the heroes, he sees the same egotistical and power hungry people that caused him to become Doom. It's not true, but the fact is those people exist, and he's the one that's calling him out. They've created this man. They've created this revolutionary, this Doom, this monster. And the fact is, people know that, and they're appreciative of it. That they're taking on people who seem greedy, who seem to hoard so much, and Doom is giving it away. This is what makes him such an interesting character. He's not wrong. He has had bad circumstances, but as we go forward, we see what's actually wrong with Doom. So we're going back to Sue, we're going back to Natasha and Wanda, and we see a cool moment of seeing how Susan can actually manipulate light. It's an underappreciated power of hers, and I'm glad Ryan is writing, and I'm glad he's actually really pushing how powerful and how interesting her powers really can be. So we find this monolith, this tower, and we're going deeper into it because apparently, unlike the field outside, this is meant to keep people in. This is more of a prison. And I mean that in a very literal sense when we reveal this. We reveal what Doom has been hiding. He has taken all these people, all the Latvarians, and they put him in a very I don't know if you've seen The Matrix, but it's very much like The Matrix. It's like with the machines, they're using the human as a batteries. He's using the humans and their futures and their life energy to turn it into magic and to power himself, power his magical abilities. I'm going to get onto a little bit more of what this could actually mean a little bit later. I want to do it as a part of a wrap up. So, yeah, we're going to move on for this for now, but we're going to come back to this later. But that's what Doom is doing. And it is very horrific. And this is where Doom, this other side of Doom, this is the dangerous part of Doom. The problem with Doom is that because of his ego, because he sees himself as above, he sees himself as the person that will do what needs to be done. And to do that, he's even willing to put his own Latvarians at risk. He's done similar things, but he hasn't ever done really something like imprisoning them or taken from them directly like this. but this is a little bit more into his character of doing what needs to be done for the sake of the whole. This it's very arguable, it's very debatable, and the fact is we still don't have the full story. So back to him and Doom and Reed. This is where the argument starts. This is when things are going to start getting violent. This is where things get scary. So Doom has now been exposed by Reed about what he's doing. Doom's trying to cover it up, trying to say that these people are heroes, these are loyalists, they're doing what because they know what Doom is doing best. But then he shows the children that there are children having their future, their life energy taken from them. And Reed is starting to actually get emotional too. Because the fact is, when it comes to kids, that's when Reed gets emotional. The man is also a father. So he's really pointing at Reed. He's pointing at Doom. He's taking Doom now. He is screaming right in front of Doom, and instead of countering with the emotion like how he's been doing at the entire time, Doom now starts getting violent. He grabs Reed. When I was reading this, when I was reading this sequence, it took me back to Unthinkable, the Fantastic Four around 500, when Doom had exiled Franklin to hell. The F4 save him, but before they get out of hell, leaving Doom there, Doom scars Reed's face by putting his hand on it, burning hand on it. And that really drove Reed into a little sense of insanity. But this was a whole nother level. This is Ryan North showing his ability to write very, very brutal scenes. This stuff is where it gets dark. This is when your stomach turns. Whereas we watch him literally tear Reed's face apart. I have no idea what's going to come after this. Because you can say that maybe Reed's faking it, maybe he's doing something weird with his powers, but then you see the blood on his face. You see the injuries coming off. You literally see parts of his brain here. It's terrifying. It's disgusting. And it's really showing Doom's more violent side. And then he just cuts the transmission because he knows he's lost. He's lost this one. He's just revealed his darker side. He's revealed the scarier part of him that people have always feared. So that is One World Under Doom, issue 6. So, one thing I want to say about the artwork on this one is it's a lot cleaner. With R.B. Silver's previous artworks and all his previous in all the previous books, it's not mangled or anything. He just puts a lot of things all over the place, and sometimes that can be cool, but sometimes you also want a bit of focus. Here, everything's kind of like as it should be. Like you got the pictures where the pictures, you got the people where the people. You don't have like a lot of what's the word? You don't have a lot of extra around. You don't have like the energy being thrown anywhere. You don't have the shapes. You don't have all this stuff thrown everywhere. It's just like it's really just straight to the characters. It still has a lot of the add-ons, a lot of the extra, a lot of the lights, a lot of his effects that he does. But now it seems a bit more focused. It seems a bit more cleaner. Everything's more organized, so you don't get taken out of the comic. So I really appreciate that. Really is improving with the artwork. And when it comes to the story, there is some things that are very interesting about this comic. The things that are worth talking about. That are like a lot of leaders who about people don't actually convey themselves to the logical sense of people. They try and convey to the emotional. We've seen that many times. Which brings me to this point. There are 2 things we need to take away from this comic. And 2 things we need to think about. 1, I don't think... Let's start with the Latvians, actually. Let's start with the Latvians. With the Latvians, there's a good chance for a good chunk of them, Doom's telling the truth, that a lot of them could volunteer for this process, that they're volunteering to give up their future for the sake of the world and for the sake of Doom. because the fact is, a lot of the Latvarians are fanatics about Doom. They believe in a lot of Doom's both of Doom's propaganda, because he does propagandize, but he also does back a lot of things up. They're well fed, they're educated, they got free medical, they got all these benefits of living in Latveria if they just trust Doom. And Doom has protected them on many occasions. So it does make sense if some of them actually do volunteer for this because they feel that Doom is great for the world. So that's something we have to consider. The ones that probably did go in and do this because they do believe that Doom can actually improve the planet. That's something you got to consider. Number two, this is the scarier one. This is the one that really has me worried. That even though they revealed all this horrible stuff, even though that Doom can't back it up, he can't debate it out, he can't just cover it up again, I don't think people are going to care. There are going to be a good chunk. Like, the fact is, in the very beginning, in this moment here, in just like in the context area of the comic, it's saying that his polls are now 50%. Like, that 50% of people had believe that Doom has been better than any political leader that has ever come through. While I think that number might drop, it's not going to hit zero. It's not going to get close to zero. It might not even get halfway to zero. It'll probably drop from like 50 to 35 or 40. That while people are now terrified of him, have seen the true dark side, there are other people that care more for their own comfort and seeing all the good things that they could benefit from Doom being in charge. They're not going to care about the Latvian suffering. They're going to look at it like Doom looks at it. That's the necessary evil for the rest of the world to live in comfort. And why I think that's going to happen is because it happens. It's a sad fact of life. There are people out there suffering because of some big time ass who's hoarding resources, hoarding money, who's using these people to get more of it so the rest of us can live in some level of comfort, so we can somehow ignore it. It's a very sad fact of life. There are people in the world that are suffering, and people are making us either we're ignoring it, or people are trying to make us believe that nothing is actually wrong. So that is going to be the darker side of what I think is going to be not only the next three issues, but probably another part of the major fallout. The Latveria's population might end up growing because then people might emigrate there. People are probably going to be fighting for Doom to take over again. He's going to have followers. It's probably going to be what the big deal is actually going to be. That's the terrifying part. That he's given all these people all this stuff. He's really connected to them. People are wanting him because they've been giving him so much. So now they're devoted to him. So even when he's deposed, there's a good chance the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, the X-Men, the Champions, all the superheroes are going to deal with people that think, how do you think that you're better than Doom? He tried to do all this good stuff. Yeah, there was some bad to go with it, but without that, we never could have had it so good. That's what's terrifying. Doom is actually a very charismatic leader, and he does offer some very good things. But the thing is, the price is too much because he believes that he himself is right. The problem is that usually he is right. He does have points. The world is massively flawed, and he can fix it. But the problem is he doesn't see the flaws in himself, which causes his problems. He'll make mistakes because he can't see himself as making a mistake. And every time somebody tells him he's making a mistake, he feels more justified in it. So this one is just so charged. I've already had plenty of arguments about this particular comic. It's one to talk about, and it's also one of the reasons we got to keep reading. One of the things I think has failed this book is the fact that the tie-in comics, you don't have any big ones. Like, they're all they're all the characters that are in the tie-ins are very small time. The only ones that we've actually had that are big time is when they had tie-ins almost right before the actual books started coming out. Like you had the Avenger tie-in that was cool, that was interesting, and you had Storm's tie-in, but you don't have the X-Men tying in during this point in time, like One World Under Doom X-Men, like a direct small mini comic about a group of the mutant X-Men coming in, probably dealing with something that's being caused by what Doom's doing. One World Under Doom Blade, he might be. Oh no! Bring that one back. Bring that one back. We go back to X-Men. We use Jubilee, and she's trying to protect vampires who Doom is using as a scapegoat because Jubilee used to be a vampire. She actually has help from, she's had help from vampires who try not to feed off humans. Maybe even see what Jubilee's reaction was to Reed developing that like the blood substitute for the other vampires, because that's a real game changer. We haven't really seen much of the bigger fallout or the bigger story of what One World Under Doom could really mean. We've had some good ones like Tiger Division and even the Strange Academy, but that's still very small time. It's still very like contained in a way into that small part. Don't get me wrong, Tiger Division was very good, especially when it took a look at propaganda, but I feel like there still could have been more. There are so many other ones you could do, and it just feels like a lot of the books that are tying into the comic is actually more gimmicky, and like none of them is benefiting the back and forth except Ryan's Fantastic Four a little bit. But even then, it doesn't have the full thing. That's the unfortunate part. I think this event could have actually been a lot bigger and a lot more. Like the actual comic itself is actually pretty cool, pretty incredible, and also very terrifying on how much it's a mirror to the world it is today. So, wrapping up, I am actually still enjoying this event. I am really seeing how Ryan can be a serious writer. Personally, maybe it's a bit like a couple of issues too long. I mean, it's a 9-issue event, and we had a month break, so it does feel like it's not dragging on a little bit. It just feels like maybe it would have benefited a bit more as a bi-weekly event, maybe rather than a monthly. Or, like I said, bigger, better connections to help progress the story, remind us that the story is still there, that this story is still going, that we're still living in One World Under Doom. That see what the world is like now with all these new laws and all these things that people are living under, the people getting a free education, free medical, all that type of stuff, because we're not really seeing that. So that's the unfortunate part. So yeah, it is a good comic. I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to the next issue. I'm looking forward to the fallout and the great climax coming up. Looking forward to the next issue of the Fantastic Four, and really am looking forward to what's coming next. And especially, I'm even a little looking forward to that whole tournament of Sorcerer Supreme. I think the fun part is that it's involving Valeria. I still have no idea who is actually going to be writing it. I'm looking forward to. I don't think it's going to be North. I have absolutely no idea. I don't think it's going to be Jed McKay. That poor bastard's got way too much work going. But that's something to look forward to. I am looking forward to the next issue and hope that it's just gonna. I really hope that it's not going to take everything that Doom said and disregard it because of what it was revealed. Because what he said wasn't wrong. That heroes should just keep doing what they're doing, because that's got to change. It would be nice to see how they can actually affect day-to-day lives. We can't not just I'm not saying we build the big cities now. Just maybe just try and ease something into it. Really start, because we've seen it in Storm. This is my big thing with the FBI. The fact that we're getting all these superhumans now being a part of this agency, and it's being a headache for Storm. see what we can do by adding more superhero concepts into the world outside. So yeah, so I hope you're enjoying the comic. I'm enjoying the comic. I really got a high hopes for what is going to come next with Ryan, what he's doing with the Fantastic Four, and what's going to come after One World Under Doom. And I really hope you guys had a great time talking comics. I'll see you guys later.